Hi class, I hope you enjoyed Troilus and Cressida, book 1 this week. It's just the beginning. You'll find that it's written in rhyme royale, which is a popular form, stanza form for Chaucer. He uses it in the Canterbury Tales as well. And it's a love story. It happens in Troy. Another romance, the Romance and the Wife of Bastow, happens in Arthur's court, and frequently you see other romances happen in Charlemagne's court, but then you also see some that happen in Troy, and this is one of the more popular ones. The text itself comes from the source of Boccaccio's Il Filostrato, but in that story, Cressida or Briseda is portrayed in a much more negative fashion than happens in Troilus and Cressida of Chaucer. In fact, the narrator throughout, you'll see, kind of has a thing for Cressida himself. And he seems very interested in her and the goings-on that occur between Cressida and Troilus. And the big thing is, in this whole story, you know that Cressida's father he's a traitor, and he's left his daughter behind in the city. And so people have their own opinions about her and her status and what it should be in the city, since she's the daughter of a traitor, even though she herself is not proven to be a traitor. And Troilus, during the course of all this, he falls in love with her. Of course, he has this whole speech about how he'll never fall in love and how bad love is and stuff. And then, of course, Cupid, seeing how prideful Troilus is, strikes him with an arrow, and he falls in love with her. And then you have Troilus' song where he's talking about how much he loves her, and then he gets all sick. And that love sickness literally is a big deal in the Middle Ages, that a man would get so sick of his love for a woman that he could potentially die, starve himself to death, that sort of thing, swoon. That was actually fairly common. When we think lovesick today, we don't always think in those actual physical disease terms, but that's how they thought of it at the time. Also, we have Cressida, who's a little more circumspect. She's a widow. We don't know that she has children, but she seems to be a fairly modest person, and we meet her uncle, Pandarus. Now, the name Pandarus is actually from the word to pander, or literally like to pimp out Cressida, and it has other meanings as well, not just to pimp out, but that's kind of the way it was used frequently in the Middle Ages. And this is how the poem starts. It's a really interesting, it's a wonderful, beautiful work. The Canterbury Tales is not finished. And as wonderful as it is in terms of presenting medieval society, what's really neat about Troilus and Cressida that's different from the Canterbury Tales is it's more medieval. Not about medieval society, but it's more medieval in the sense that it's a very traditional medieval type of tale, and in the romance form. And it is complete. It's beautifully put together. As you read it, you will see, I think, why he's called the father of English poetry even more, because of his mastery of the form. The narrator, again, should really stand out throughout this. It's not just kind of the naive, sort of bumbling narrator we see in the Canterbury Tales. That's just sort of a persona of Chaucer, the author. This is definitely a speaker narrator, someone who's quite separated from Chaucer as author, and it has his own character, really. And the narrator, we know he's learned, he's well-read, never really been in love. We don't know that he's a monk or anything like that. We just know he's learned. And he, like I said, he seems to have a thing for Cressida. We might see some similarities to him as to Pandarus. In fact, they both kind of have traits of the voyeur to them. Anyway, but they're interesting characters. We're not always sure if we can trust the narrator either. He's naive, but he's scholarly, and then, like I said, again, I don't know if we can always trust him. He's maybe not the most reliable narrator. And so these are kind of the characters that we see. We see, this long epic length poem opens, like many epics do, with a call to the muse, though in this instance the muse is not a muse, it's one of the three Furies, Tisiphone. And of course that just shows from the very first 6 lines, the story's not going to end well. The narrator is very clear with you from the very beginning. And of course, we said that in the Middle Ages, originality was not prized so much as telling a story in a different way, or telling it better than someone else had told it. And that's what we see here, in the sense that anyone who's reading this probably has a good idea of how the story goes and how the story ends. And so for the narrator to pretend that his audience isn't aware of how the story will end and that it will end badly is not actually a good tack to take. To just admit from the beginning that it ends badly allows him to tell the story with more feeling. You start associating with the characters, and you start to sorrow very early on, knowing it will end badly for them. And so that's what we have going on in this poem. I'm not going to say a whole lot more because I wanted to talk a little more about some of the other stuff that was going on. I know we had some difficulties with the midterm this last week. I want to apologize for that. I was defending my dissertation on Friday, so I was out of town. And when I got back, I saw all the stuff that had gone on. I felt really bad. And then I had a horse show the next morning. I thought, well, I'll get back and I'll get back and hopefully get it fixed. And I came back trying to mess with it, and I was exhausted, and I wasn't able to get fixed what I wanted to get fixed. I printed off the results from those who had taken a little earlier in the day or the week, who had seemed to get through it fairly successfully. But when I went to try and reset certain students so they could take the test that had trouble, it reset everyone's. And so that's why some of you are having to redo. I have your multiple choice scores, and I have the essay that you sent me in the email, but I don't have the short answer and matching. But thank you. I see some of you all are sending that to me, and thank you for that. Again, I really, really apologize for the misunderstanding. I felt so bad. I've been messing with it, and I've been playing a little bit with some of our testing options on Blackboard, and I've just had trouble with those for some reason. It's been a little more user-friendly to use the Quiz Star, but hopefully I'll get that figured out, and I can, maybe we can use those for some of our future assignments, or at least in future semesters I can use that. But, thank you if y'all, thank you for being understanding. Hopefully you are. And again, I apologize. That's not how I hoped it, or well, certainly I never hoped it would be that way, but I certainly never intended for it to go that way. And I had taken the test myself to practice, just to make sure everything was working a couple of times. And it seemed to be, but it's technology. Sometimes it doesn't always work as well as we'd like it to be. Anyway, so again, just apology for that. And if we could, I have corrected the syllabus. I think when I'd first done the syllabus, I had always gotten the weeks right. So if you've been going by the week on the syllabus, you've been good. But I had gotten a few of the dates wrong. So I've corrected the syllabus and re-uploaded it. And so I think the dates should all be correct now. So please go by that, and it does say at the beginning of the syllabus that I have the ability to change that at any time, and certainly I need to change it just for clarification's sake anyway. So please look at the new syllabus and all that's going on there. By next week, not this week, but by next Friday, please turn in your paper proposals. Some of you have already sent them to me, but I'd like the rest of you to send them to me, and so that you all can get started. You're going to have about 3 weeks to work on those. I have posted a paper for this week for study that's a good kind of sample paper to look at, but it's a Troilus and Cressida paper. You will be writing your paper on one of the Canterbury Tales, or even a comparison of 2 or 3 that may interest you, but it needs to be on the Canterbury Tales anyway. And you will need to do some research. I'll get a kind of a formal assignment sheet posted sometime, probably this weekend, so you can be thinking about your papers. Your topic, you won't need like the specific words or anything, but I think I'm wanting it to be around 5 to 10 pages, best I remember, MLA, and you're allowed to use any of the sources that we have used in class, but I didn't want to use any outside sources besides those. Anyway, so that's most of what's going on towards that as we look towards the next big project. And of course we have your MLA recitation and all that sort of thing coming up, and I'll pick next week, I'll pick a section of 20 lines and have that posted. There's also some extra credit if you guys are not doing as well as you'd hoped it by this point. Of course, wait till your midterm scores are posted, because so much of your grade is your midterm. And or your midterm grade represents so much more of your grade than just a single quiz or 2. But if you want to do some extra credit, I certainly will help you do that as well. And anyway, if you have any more questions, please just email me. It's my goal to help you all out. Again, I apologize for some of the confusion. It confuses me too sometimes. That's just part of being having an online class. Some of the difficulties, some of the things that's easier to clear up in class when you can talk face to face. That's a little harder online, but I do want to clear all that up. So trying to help everyone get through as well as they can, whichever side of us has difficulties. Anyway, still really enjoying this semester with you all. You guys have some really great responses on the discussion boards and stuff. I am reading those and keeping track of them. We do have a little kind of participation grade on discussions at the end, so those are not just there for busy work or anything. That I am considering them. They'll add a little bit to your grade at the end of the semester. Anyway, I think that's all for now, and hopefully everything will go smooth this week. If you have any more questions, again, just let me know. I'm sorry I'm getting this up so late this week. In fact, I've made the quiz available until Saturday night this week because of just the lateness of things and some of the technological difficulties. Anyway, I hope that all helps, and just let me know if you have any questions. Best.